Now in this lesson, let's talk about attack surface reduction in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. As we explained before, attack surface reduction basically refers to decreasing spots in your organization where threats and attacks might occur. Therefore, we can say attack surface reduction helps in strengthening your organization's security posture. In combination with threat and vulnerability management capabilities, which were previously explained, attack surface reduction capabilities work as a precautionary methods of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint solution. When we talked about architecture, features, and capabilities of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint solution, alongside with other capabilities, we explained what is attack surface reduction and its role in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint solution. So now let's show how it works. First, we will focus on attack surface reduction rules. In order to decrease surface where attackers could possibly compromise your organization through endpoint devices managed by Microsoft Defender for Endpoint solution, attack surface reduction rules could help in decreasing that surface with addressing or restricting particular behaviors, something that will significantly reduce chances of possible malware entering in your organizations. Examples of attack surface reduction rules can be restricting particular behaviors in certain scripts or applications. Now that we are in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint Administration portal, let's see more about attack surface reduction rules. Before configuring attack surface reduction rules, it is recommended that you first enable attack surface reduction rule in audit mode because of precaution, since you don't want to impact production without first understanding possible impact of certain attack surface reduction rule deployment in production. So to do that, let's first go to Microsoft Endpoint Manager portal. So from here, I will open Office 365 Administration Console. It should open now in a second. So now from Microsoft 365 Administration Console, I will select Show All admin centers. And from here I will go to Microsoft Endpoint Manager Administration Portal. And there I need to select Endpoint Security. And then Attack Surface Reduction. So now I will choose Create Policy. As platform, I will select Windows 10 and later. And as a profile, I will select Attack Surface Reduction Rules. Then I will click Create. We can type some random name, it doesn't really matter for these demonstration purposes, so let's type just policy. And then I select Next. And now here you can see total of 16 attack surface reduction rules at the moment. And each one of these rules extend its capabilities across multiple different categories of protection. For example, scripts, credentials, and so on. So if you select this info button next to attack surface reduction rule, you will land on Microsoft's official documentation page where you can see detailed description about that particular rule and its impact on your organization. Also, another valuable thing available in Microsoft official documentation is attack surface reduction rule to GUID metrics. GUID is Global Unique Identifier Value mapped to that particular attack surface reduction rule, and you will need that Global Unique Identifier Value if you wish to configure attack surface reduction rule via PowerShell script or local group policy. That are another available methods to configure attack surface reduction rules, besides from Microsoft Endpoint Manager console, as we are demonstrating now at the moment. So let's say that for our purposes, we choose to configure this first rule: block Adobe Reader from creating child processes. It is highly recommended that we first set this rule to audit mode, because when it is set to audit, it will not impact functionality of units to which this rule will be applied, but it will instead generate logged events for you to know. Else, we can leave as it is by default, and then we click Next, up to Assignments page. And on the Assignments page, for purposes of this demonstration, let's add all devices. Then I will select Next and Create. So now that attack surface reduction policy is created in audit mode, next step is to monitor behavior of that rule. And to do that, we will go back in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint Administration portal. Here under Vulnerability Management, we will select Recommendations. So let's choose Filter. And in that filter, under Security Controls, we will select Attack Surface Reduction and apply. And now we need to find in these filtered recommendations, block Adobe Reader from creating child processes. There it is, this one. If you open this security recommendation, you can see many details as we explained in previous lessons. And for onboarded devices, since we configured attack surface reduction rule for all devices, threat and vulnerability management capabilities will determine will there be any expected impact by enabling rule. After you have analyzed and confirmed that it is safe to enable wanted rule, you can go back to Endpoint Manager portal, to Endpoint Security, Attack Surface Reduction, and then you open that rule that we created. And here, if we go on the bottom of the page, we will find Configuration Settings, and we click on Edit next to it. And then on Block Adobe Reader from creating child processes, you will switch Audit to Block, or whatever appropriate to your use case. Now, let's mention that hardware-based isolation is another capability of attack surface reduction, but we will talk more detailed about it in the next lesson. For now, let's say that hardware-based isolation reduces attack surface by isolating untrusted websites, while on the other hand, application control capability of attack surface reduction feature can prevent untrusted applications from running. So let's show that. You go to the Microsoft Endpoint Manager portal, and then we select Devices. Yes, we will leave this page. So after we have selected Devices, we click on Configuration Profiles, and then we choose Create Profile. For platform, we will select Windows 10 and later. As a profile type, we will select Templates. And here we will choose Endpoint Protection. And now Create. We can as well put some random name for these testing purposes. So let's choose Policy 1 now. And click Next. And here we will select Microsoft Defender Application Control. Next to Application Control Code Integrity Policies, we need to select Enforce. And next to Trust Apps with Good Reputation, we will select Enable. Then we can click on Next. And assign this to all devices in organization for these testing purposes. And then we're going to click Next up to Create. So now we have created profile and chose to trust all applications with a so-called good reputation. That good reputation is based on Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph background capabilities, which determine which applications are allowed to run, besides Windows components and Microsoft Store apps. And that's it about some capabilities of attack surface reduction in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. In next lesson, we will talk about Microsoft Defender Application Guard capability for hardware-based isolation, which is another capability of attack surface reduction feature, and we will mention some more capabilities of attack surface reduction feature on top of that.